Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Lauren. So a while ago, a mentor actually said to me, she said, Gina, there is one thing in life that you need to keep you at balance. And I said to her, okay, what is it? And she told me, and it was amazing. And I'm going to actually tell you about it a little bit later, okay? Now, I just want to ask you a question. Would you like to know why there are around about 180 million women on the planet right now that are suffering and think they're going crazy? Would you like to know that? And just to let you know, I was one of them as well. So here's a bit of a story for you. It was a really cold winter's day in Sydney a few years ago. And we just got back from this amazing holiday in Greece. We'd spent a month in Greece and it was perfect. It was beautiful. And I thought that that would be the antidote, but it wasn't. As I slid down the shower wall into the fetal position with the shower pouring over me, I just began to sob and I just cried and I cried and I cried for what seemed like forever. After a while, I managed to pick myself up. I wrapped the towel around me and I went into the bedroom where my husband was and I said, darling, I can't do this anymore. I can't go on like this. I can't go back to school. I can't go back to work. The thing was, Pete had been observing me for many, many years. It's probably 15 years. And he'd said to me, it must have been about 10 years ago, he'd said to me, Jen, there's something not quite right about you. There's something going on. You've got something going on. You need to address it. And being the stubborn woman that I am, I just went, oh, stop it. I'll sort it out. Just leave me alone. I'll deal with it. I rang school that day to call in sick and my principal called me straight back because, anybody that's been a teacher out there, you know that you just don't call in sick unless you're on death's door. And so John, my principal, bless him, he had been observing me all along as well. And 3 years before that, I had a meeting with him. It was just a one-on-one meeting in his office about the science department that I was leading at the time. And at the end of the meeting, John said to me, Gina, are you okay? And I just burst into tears and I sobbed and I said, okay, John, look, thank you for asking, but I'm okay. I'll be okay. I'll fix it. I'll fix it. I had no idea how to fix it, but I just needed to sort of push them away at that point. So when John rang me that morning, he said to me, Gina, you just take off as much time as you need in order to heal yourself, in order to get yourself back on track. And, ultimately I never did go back to the school, but he kept my job open for 18 months. And for that, I will always be so appreciative, of his, and so grateful for his support and his understanding. So it took me 2 years really to reassess my whole life. And for the first year, I think I cried every day. And it sort of brings up emotion now when wow, I didn't expect this to happen. Being real here now, okay? I cried every day because I really missed my identity as a teacher. I really missed my connection with my colleagues. And of course, being an extrovert, I just, people is what I love. And that's why I became a teacher in the first place. And I even really miss the kids at school. I miss the students, but I will actually put a caveat on that. I did not miss the naughty boys, that's for sure. That's for sure. So what the hell was going on for me? Put simply, it was menopause combined with chronic stress. And here was I, in my 50s, early 50s, late 40s, early 50s, I'm now 62. But here was I thinking that I could, work and I could do the 50 or 60 hours I needed to do and still, maintain my life and exercise and socialize and all that kind of thing. But for me, with menopause, the biggest issue for me was insomnia. And that has such a really awful knock-on effect to all of your life. And, I was in denial. I was in complete denial thinking, it'll be okay. It'll get fixed. Something will happen. And all the while I was not sleeping and it just, it wasn't working. And so basically that day I just crashed and burned and thought, I can't do this anymore. And with the sleep, one of the things I did buy was this device here. And this device, of course, helps you track your steps and your heart rate and your sleep, everything. But I didn't buy it for the heart rate or the number of steps. I bought this to track my sleep. And I found out that I was only getting between 2 and 3 hours a night. And it wasn't even quality sleep. It was really bad. So it's no wonder that I absolutely crashed and burned. Now, the stats say that around about 120, the stats say that around about 20% of women actually will go through really severe menopause symptoms. And that's where that 180 million women comes from the beginning of the talk. Remember I said that there's 180 million women that are suffering on the planet right now. So if you take the population of the planet, halve it, and you get the number of women between 45 and 65, you take 20% of that, that's 180 million women that are suffering with menopausal symptoms, severe menopausal symptoms right now. And you know, that is a huge number. That is a really big number. And you know, the thing is that we don't even really talk about it. We don't talk about menopause and how stress can impact it. We don't. And I remember as a young teacher, you know, in my 30s, I worked with a lot of older women, and they were obviously, you know, they were in their late 40s, 50s, even early 60s. And nobody talked about it. Nobody was saying, oh my God, I'm having hot flushes, or oh my God, this is happening, or oh, I didn't sleep last night. Nobody mentioned it. So I guess it's no wonder that we don't know about it. Well, I didn't know about it, if that makes sense. So I thought to myself, oh my God, I'm a science teacher. I'm a biology teacher. How the hell did I miss this? How, I'm supposed to know about biology and, you know, and the body and menopause, but I didn't. And I thought to myself, you know, I'm a scientist and a science teacher, and I don't know. What about all the other women out there where they've got that science isn't their genius zone, and they probably don't know what's going on for them or with them? So I actually got onto quite a few menopause support groups and to see what was going on out there for all of these other women. And I found that I was so not alone. There were so many women out there that were suffering. And, you know, it just astounded me that I didn't really understand this before I started going through it. So I did so much soul searching. I studied, I researched, I read on everything that I could to do with menopause, midlife, stress, etc., and women in general. And one of the things I did learn, it was amazing. I learned so much, but this is a little sciencey thing for you guys if you're into this. And this is what really fascinated me, and it really resonated with me, and it made sense. When you start to go through perimenopause and your ovaries, I'm sort of doing a bit of visual here, the ovaries actually start to shut down the production of estrogen and progesterone. Guess what happens? The body is so amazing. The adrenal glands actually pick up the slack and start to make those hormones, right? That's what normally happens. But think about it. 21st century women, right? We are working our careers. We're working full time. We're going toe to toe with our male counterparts for those promotions and for the jobs, etc., in industry and in business and in, you know, heaps of other organizations. We're going toe to toe with them. And yet, as women, we come home and we do the lion's share of the housework, of the nurturing, of everything. We do that. We're programmed that way. We can't really, you know, blame our partners for that because they're not programmed that way, the way that we are. So bear that in mind. And so, you know, it's no wonder that we are so burnt out. So when it comes time for the ovaries to start shutting down their production of those hormones, the adrenal glands are supposed to pick it up. But guess what? The adrenal glands are so burnt out, so exhausted that there is no energy, no resources to make those hormones. And we wonder why we suffer from such really bad menopause symptoms. Yeah. So did you like that little fact? So, you know, that is amazing. You know, and if I'd known all of this beforehand, I think I would have planned my life a little bit differently. I would have actually been aware of it and, you know, done something more about it. But ultimately, I did heal myself. Okay. Can't do it alone. I couldn't do it alone. I tried that. It didn't work. I tried self-medicating and all sorts of things, but it just didn't work. But I did heal myself. I got myself some really great doctors. I got myself some really wonderful bioidentical hormones. And I got myself a mindset coach. And I pretty much reinvented my life. Now, they say, here's this Pareto numbers again. They say that 80%, in fact, I think it's a bit higher, but I'll be conservative here and say 80% of success is due to your mindset. Okay, 80%. And it's only 20%, or probably less, that's actually due to tools and strategies. And so that's where I decided to put my focus. The focus I put on my mindset, and I attacked my wounds, and I actually, got rid of limiting beliefs and did all the work so that I could actually have a better life and to be able to heal myself. Now, I am so passionate about what I do, but that's what I do now. I help women mostly women over 40, and usually, going through a lot of stress. I help them to reinvent their lives too. And I've become a life coach and a hypnotherapist, matrix therapist, NLP, all of that. I do all that now to actually help women going through that stage so that they can actually reinvent their lives to have the lives that they want. And it was mentioned before, but I also wrote a book, which I've got here. It's called Ignite the Spark. I wrote it about 6 years ago now, so it was a bit of a while ago. The picture of me looks a little bit different. But it became a #1 bestseller on Amazon, and you can get it from Amazon if you would like to get a copy. And so, look, I stand for women being empowered and making all of these really positive changes in their lives, and especially after 40. You can change your job, you can change your relationship, you can change your life, and you can make yourself a better version of you. Just have the life that you want, the fun that you want. Be everything that you want. And probably most importantly, what I'd like to encourage everybody to do is to begin the conversation around this and to keep it going and to speak about it with your colleagues, your friends, your partners, because, to get to that age and be so naive, it's shocking. It was shocking for me, and it still brings up emotion in me when I actually think about it. So I'm going to ask you this question. Ladies, and you don't even have to be going through menopause to do this. You can do this before menopause, right? But if you go through menopause, fantastic. Even if you've passed menopause like I have now, it still is valid. I want you to ask yourself the question, what is it that your heart desires? What is it that you want? Okay, maybe it's traveling around the world when we can get back to doing that. Maybe it's starting a new business. Maybe it's to retire on fire. Maybe it's to live off the grid. Maybe it's to get a divorce. Maybe it's to get your libido back. Maybe it's to have an affair with a younger man or a younger woman, or both at the same time if you want. Now, I was going to mention, there's this wonderful book by this amazing woman, and I think if you haven't heard of it or haven't read it yet, it's really recommended. Not just my book, but this book as well. It's called The Wisdom of Menopause, and it was written by a woman called Dr. Christiane Northrup, who is an acclaimed gynecologist and obstetrician in the United States. And on the back of the book, on the back of the copy I have, it's got written this, and I don't know whether she wrote it, but somebody wrote it, and it's about the book, and it says, and I'll just read it off here verbatim. The change, and of course, I'm talking about menopause, the change is not simply a collection of physical symptoms that need to be fixed. It's a mind-body revolution that brings about the greatest opportunity for personal growth since adolescence. The choices a woman makes now have the power to secure vibrant health and well-being for the rest of her life. So just let that sink in for a couple of seconds. So, ladies, think about what it is that you want. What do you want to be? What do you want to do? What do you want to have? And when you actually come up with the answers for yourself, you know what? I really want that for you too. I really do. And why? It's because I want it for myself, I want it for my sister. I want it for my mum. I want it for all my girlfriends. I want it for all women. Okay. So ladies, this is your time. This is your time, your time, your time. I'm now going to circle back to the question or the story that I started at the beginning. My mentor, and she said to me, Gina, there's one thing that you need. There's one thing that you need in order to have a balanced life. And she said to me, it's self-care. And she went on to explain that you've got to fill up your own cup first before you can give anything away. And you give with the overflow. You don't give from the empty cup, which many of us women tend to be. We've got to look after ourselves first, without guilt, guiltless, and then give with the overflow. So ladies, that's what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to give you permission to go and fill up your own cups. And I actually have a workshop coming up as well, and it's on self-care. And I don't know what date it will. I think it's going to be on Monday, the 14th. That's the date I've requested. So look out for it in the workshop schedule as well. And go and have a look at my book. And of course, also, you can jump onto my website, and I've got actually there's an ebook with menopause tips to keep you sane as well. And so go and enjoy. Thank you.